Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you so much. So I made a video. This is the final product. This is going to be, I'm going to show you guys how to use ASP.NET Core so you guys can create your own register, your own login. And then later on, I'm going to show you guys how to connect to Angular. So that way you guys can call your APIs with using Angular. But first thing we got to do is I'm going to build the backend first. I'm using SQLite. I'm using models, controllers. You're going to learn quite a bit with this building, and also Swagger. And you guys going to need Postman to test the APIs. So let me show you guys a little bit about the application. So here's the registration. Let me go ahead and open this up. So let me go ahead and try it out. I'm going to go ahead and, also going to learn about JWT. So let me create a name. I'm going to put that one. The password is just going to be, it's just for developing. I'm just going to use that password. And I'm going to go ahead and run it and execute it. And I should get a 200 if it's not taken. If it's taken, then I'll get an alert saying this username is already taken. So see that sorry about that. That was just my daughter drinking some water. Okay, so I have a username that I made, and I also got a token. So see, and I got a 200 success. So now that I have that, I can try to log in. So let me go ahead and log in over here. Let me go ahead and try. Let me go ahead and use the name. Go ahead and try the password. Let me go ahead and execute this. Uh-oh, got the wrong name. See? So if you mistype, it says invalid username. So I know why it didn't work, because it's the way I did it. You don't have to capitalize it. All right, so let me do it again. See, I got a 200. So that means I was able to log in with my token and the name here. So here it is. That's going to be the application. That's going to be the final work. So let me show you guys a little bit. So basically, what I have my ASP.NET Core. I have a controller. I have a folder for data. I'm using DTOs. I'm using actually, instead of using I didn't name my folder models. I ended up using entities. So here's a class with the users. See the username, password. So all of that. Also, I created some extensions. I also created some interfaces. So you guys are going to learn how to create your own interfaces, services, and the most important thing is going to be able to connect to the SQL, which is going to show you that. So that's it, guys. So let me show you guys how to do this. All right, let's get on this. All right, so let me go ahead and close this up right here. Let me go ahead and close this up. Let me open a new project. I'm going to do Visual Studio. Visual Studio. Visual Studio. Visual Studio. All right, Visual Studio. I'm going to open it up, create a new project. I'm going to call this. I'm going to call it Backend. Actually, I already got one over here. Let's create a new project. It's just taking a little bit. Let me pause it, and I'm going to skip this part. Load up. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one here. I'm going to go ahead and name it. Let me go ahead and name it Backend. No, actually, no, I already have one like that. Oh yeah, let's call it Backend API, like that. And go ahead and hit next. And I don't need no other authentication because I'm going to create that. I'm using .Net 5.0. That's good. Let me go ahead and hit create. All right, it's going to take a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip this part. So you guys can use Visual Studio 2019, or you guys can use VS Code. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to do VS Code. Either one will work. So let me go ahead and open it up from there. Backend Web API, select the folder. Yep, right here. Same thing. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let me open the terminal. Go ahead and do .Net. Watch run. Let's see what the default .Net application gives you. So let me go ahead and build it up. Okay, so by default, it's going to give you the weather forecast. So I'm actually going to write everything. I'm going to do it on the VS Code. So which is going to be right here. So, all right. So that's that. So by default, I get just get a few different folders. I get startup, I get the program, and just one controller, which we're not going to use that. So the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to create a folder, and this folder here, sure I get it in the right path. So I'm going to call this one entities. Okay, and this one here on the first one, let's go ahead and close this out. The very first thing here, I'm going to create my first class, which is going to be, it's just going to be a C# class. This one I'm going to call it AppUser. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and this is just a shortcut. It's going to be prop, and you hit tab. That'll give you it will give you a public integer. The very first thing I want to do is I want to create an ID, and then the next one is going to be the name. Messed up here. All right, so this one is going to be a string, and I want to use user. Actually, I want to do it. I want to use a username with the capital, and that's going to be it right there. All right, so and then I'm going to create another folder. This one's going to be, right now what we're doing, we're just setting up the whole thing. So this is going to be a folder, which is going to be the data. It's going to be one from entities, and there's going to be one. We're going to need actually a couple packages. So let's go ahead and grab those packages right now. So what we're going to do is, if you hit Control-Shift-P, didn't work, Control-Shift-P, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open in your sorry, I can't pronounce it, Nuget gallery. And here, what we're going to look for is Microsoft.EntityFramework like that, FrameworkCore. So I installed .NET 5.0, so I want to go ahead and make sure it matches your runtime. So mine is the 5.0. So if you guys install 6.0, whatever, make sure it matches. So mine is 5.0, so I'm gonna go ahead and install that. If it doesn't work, it will let you know here on the bottom if there's any errors. So everything went okay. It says go ahead and click any key to close it. All right. So now I want to get the SQL. I'm going to use SQLite. You guys can use SQL Server. It's not going to make any difference because we're going to use first code migration. So it means what we're going to do is write the code, then we're going to do the migration so we can create our tables. That's what I mean by that. So here, same thing over here. What we want to do is 5.0. Go ahead and actually on this one, it really doesn't matter. Let me try. me see if it gives me any errors. Let's see. I just want to do it. Yeah, it's not compatible. So yeah, see over here, if it's not compatible, it's the like if you have 5.0, make sure you keep it to the runtime, which is 5.0. Let me see if let me redo it again. See now, yeah, see now I don't have any errors. So let me go ahead and close that out. All right, so we have that. You guys can use SQL Server if you like. So, all right, so those are the two packages. Let me get back over here. Here we're going to do is we're going to create another class, which is going to be called DataContext, like that. So let's go ahead and close this. Let's go ahead and close that for now. Oh, it didn't create it. All right, let's go ahead and do it again. Data context. There it is. This one is going to derive from the DV context. This one's going to derive from DV context, like that. Okay, so if you guys hit Control Dot, I don't know if you guys can see the little underline red. So you can actually do a see that right here. It says using Microsoft.EntityFramework.Core. So that's what I'm using for that. So then what I want to do is I want to initialize it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a constructor. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the one. It's supposed to be this one here, the second one. We're going to create a constructor, and here is where you're going to do all your DbSets. Just over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it now since I'm already here. So I'm gonna do again prop, which is PROP. I'm gonna go ahead and tab, and this one is gonna be DbSet. The class that I'm using is the AppUser, which is that. Then you want to go ahead and Control Dot to import that, which is coming from the Backend API entities, which is this folder here. Let me go ahead and import that. And this one here, I am going to call it users. Okay, so that's that for that. Now that we're finished with that, then we can go to the startup. And here we still got a few things we got to configure before. We got to import some services here. Here it doesn't matter the order, the way you put in the services, it doesn't matter. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to create services, add DV context, and which is called data context. And you got to make sure you import this. Oh, wait. I missed the end. Go ahead, Control. Yeah, there it is. So make sure the spelling, no mess up in your spelling. All right, so go ahead, use, if you guys can see this, it says using backend API data. Let me go ahead and import that. And here, let me go ahead and, okay, so here you want to pass options, just like that, options. And don't forget to close that. Run options. And this one here, you want to do is you want to let ASP.NET Core that you want to use SQLite. And here I want to, let me refactor this here. I want to do a little bit different. I don't want to call it, let's just, this is where the configuration goes, but I want to refactor that. I want to call it config. And then I'm going to go ahead and initialize this. So let's go ahead and delete this here. Just like this, is shorter, quicker. All right, so let me go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need that. All right, so now that we have that, so then I want to do is I want to config this. And what I want to do is get the connection. Oh, what happened just here? Config. Let me go ahead and import this. Config. What's that? You want to do is get the connection. Get connection. Get connection string. And this one is going to be, I'm going to call it default connection. Just like that. Oh, sorry. It's supposed to be underline config because it's coming from over here. All right. So we're using SQL. We're creating a service. And now that we have that, we can go to our app setting, which is over here. Develop. We got to connect. We got to create the connection there. Okay, so here, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and select this one. It says connection string, and here we want to pass the default. It has to make sure it matches whatever you put in the startup connection, default connection. And this one, simple. I'm gonna call it data, the source, and whatever you want to call your DB. So I'm gonna call this one users app DB. Nothing special about it. All right, so we have that. I save that. So we have the connection now. So we have that. So let's make sure we got all the packages. Oh, the wrong one. We got the SQL, the framework core. We need another. I need one more. Actually, I am going to run it. So I want to show you guys something. All right, let me go ahead and close the. I'm going to go ahead and stop the application, and I'm going to go ahead and run my first migration. So I'm going to do .NET EF migrations at. I'm going to call this one initial model, and I want to do the output. I want to put it in the folder, in a data folder, which is right here, and I'm going to call it migrations. Yeah, just like that. I want to show you guys something. Oh, and also make sure when you run a migration, see how it gave me the error code? There's an error over here. So I'm missing a package. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to go ahead and open the Nuget package management. Let me go ahead and do that. Sometimes VS Code sometimes can be friendly and let you know what you're missing, which is a plus, which is right here. So this one here, I'm going to go ahead and install. Again, like I said, you got to make sure it matches your runtime. So mine is a 5.0. So I'm going to go ahead and install it. Perfect. It went through. So I'm going to go ahead and type in CLS, which is not going to clear up the whole thing. So let me do it again. .NET EF migrations. And I want to add the initial. That's going to be the initial. I'm going to call it initial model. And I want to go ahead and output it inside the data folder. And here I'm going to call it migrations. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. Oh, I don't think it went through. Yeah, it is right here. You see how it says Microsoft.EntityFramework.Core design? See, it worked. All right, so let's make sure it's in there. See, there's a folder, it's called migration. There should be a snapshot and also the migration, see, right here. Perfect. Yeah, see how it creates the table and everything. All right, so now that we're okay with the table, because all I'm using and creating a table with the name of users, it's going to give an ID that's going to auto increment. I'm using the username So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do .NET EF database update. If you're okay with the migration, then you, oh, also, if let's just say you made a mistake. See how it says here, to undo the migration, you want to, what you want to do is you want to do the EF migration remove, the word remove if you mess up. So I'm okay with the migration, so I'm gonna go ahead and run it. So I'm gonna do .NET EF database update. Let's see if we get it through. All right, so far so good. All right, so now that I have that, I'm gonna go ahead and open my SQL. Let me go ahead and close all these. All right, so I got that. Let me open. I installed SQLite. There it is. Oh, messed up. Hold on. That's what I love about this VS Code. See, so now here I have the connection, and all I got to do is open it up. See how it says this is the data, the data connection. So when I created the migration, I created a table, and it's called user app DB, which is that should be with the user and the ID. So I'm gonna go ahead and right click this, and I'm gonna do show table. See, it shows that. Let me go ahead and close that. No, I don't want to save it. Let me go ahead and close this. New query. No, I messed up. Hold on. Why is it not showing me? Give me 1 second. Okay, so it's actually not right click. What you want to do is you want to click the arrow here, and see when you do that, you see it right there. There's a column for user, and then there's an ID, and there's one for username. So what you want to do is you want to show the table. See, no, actually, no, you don't want to do show the table. You want to create a new query. See, select here and everything, so it's good. So. All right, so that's, let me go ahead and close this out. All right, so this is created the table. Let me go ahead, okay, so we do show the table. A new query. Go ahead and insert a new query. So see how is that? So you can actually insert values in there. So if you want to do that, so you can actually, the first one's going to be the ID. So you want to make sure it's 1, and the name is going to be, let's call it Tom. So once you do that, so you want to go ahead and insert this. No, let's not save it. Actually, I don't want to do it. I want to do it like that. What I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to do it from this Swagger. So let's go ahead and continue with the application. All right, so that's that. All right, so we created the table. Let me go ahead and do this real quick. So actually, let me go back over here. So we'll come back to that. All right, we'll come back to that. So let's go back over here to the API, and let's go ahead and now that we have that, now we have the DB connection. Let's go ahead and go back to the controller. Here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a controller, and this one we actually gonna call it account controller. Just like that, account controller. Sometimes you might have to do it a couple of times. My goodness. Okay. Account controller. Not working for me. Okay, Sometimes when that happens, sometimes you might have to, let me do a .NET restore. Sometimes you might have to open it and close it. So let me do it again. Control it. Nope. Okay, I'm gonna have to restart it. All right, so let me do that again. All right, cool. Do it again. Make sure it's capitalized, the one that says controller, and the first letter, which is account. All right, so here I wanted to derive from controller base. Oh, I'm sorry, it's called controller base or base controller, one of those two. Base controller, let me see that. No, it's called controller base. Yes, so it's called controller base, and this one is, you want to go ahead and import the using Microsoft, the MVC. So once you do that, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here, and I'm just going to copy this one, the path, since it's going to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it over here. You just have to, I'm going to have to refactor a little bit. All right, so cool, we have that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to implement one more class, and this one here, I'm going to call it base API controller. And here, what I'm going to do, I am going to go ahead and copy this. So I'm going to implement do not repeat yourself. So let me go ahead and controller base. Let me go ahead and import that. All right, so now that we have that, let me go back to the account controller. And so instead of deriving from control base, I am going to, this time I'm actually going to go from base API controller. So, and here, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a constructor. So I'm going to do CTR. So I'm going to create a constructor. And here, remember the data context, I'm going to go ahead and inject this. So go ahead and start it up. Spell this context. Let me go ahead and start this, initialize that. All right, so we have that. Let me go ahead and import data context. Using data backend. All right, cool. So we have that. Why do I have an error here? Oh, there it is. Data, I misspelled that. All right, so we have that. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the HTTP post, which is going to be, we're going to do the HTTP post, and this one is going to use for the register. So whenever we want to register a new user, this is where it's going to go. So let's give that functionality. So every function starts with the public, and we want to make that async. We want to make that task. And this one we want to do is action result. And we want to get here the AppUser. And we want to do is register. And here we want to pass. Actually, we're going to have to create, also almost forgot, we got to create the DTOs. So let's go ahead and create a folder now, because we're going to need that. So DTO stands for data transfer objects. So let's go ahead and create that DTOs. All right, the first DTO, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this class, and this one here is going to be called register DTO. All right, here we're gonna pass two props, which is gonna be hold on, it's gonna be the username, because we're gonna need the username. So we're gonna need a username. Ooh, did I mess up? Yes, I did. All right. Let me do that again. So it's going to be a string. The very first thing is going to be username. Second one is going to be, this one is going to be a string, and it's going to be password. Password right there, like that. So you're going to need one for register, one for login. All right, so let's go ahead and do the login also, since we're going to need that. So let's go here. There also, you got to make sure you make it require. So you got to implement data annotations. All right. So we need one more DTO, which is going to be the login. One is for register, and one is going to be login DTO. On the login DTO, we're going to be able to log in a register. I'm sorry, a user, and they're going to need a password, of course. So same thing, we're going to need string username, and we're going to need a password. Just like that, boom, password. So, yeah, so we can go back here, and here what we're going to do is we want to pass the register DTO. You want to go ahead and import this one, and you want to do register DTO. All right, cool. So we have that. Let's go ahead and implement the task. Let's go ahead and implement AppUser. So very first thing I want to do here, I want to do a if, and I want to do away because we're using the async. So we want to do it. If user exists, we're going to pass register DTO, and it's going to be the username. So if user exists, we want to return a bad request, which is going to be username is taken. All right. Let's go ahead and create this. All right. Go ahead and implement that user exists, generate a method, which is already here. So let's go ahead and do this one, async. And we want to pass. So here, what we want to do. So we already got the method for register. So here we want to do is we want to return, and we want to make it away because we're using the async, and we want to do context, and we want to pass users. And this one is going to be any async. That is coming from, okay, so if there's any user, want to do is if there's any username, it's equal to username, and you want to make that 2 lower. That's it. All right, so that's the method for if the user exists. All right, cool. I know it's a lot, guys, but it's all right. So Now that we have that method, well, let me go ahead and extend the go ahead and extend this class, the AppUser. I'm gonna go ahead and put in the password here, and we're gonna do another migration because we gotta implement the password. So let me go ahead and do that. So what we want to do is public, and we want to do a byte. And here, what you want to do is you want to pass the password hash, and you want to do a get set, and there's going to be one for same thing. It's going to be public. I'm sorry, public, and this one is going to be password sold. Okay, passwords. So it's one is for hash, and the other one's for sold. So let's go ahead and run another migration so that we're going to go ahead and implement this. So let's do .NET EF migrations. Then what we want to do is add, and we want to do this one is called, I'm going to call it stand model. And .NET EF. Okay, cool. So we'll do that. Oh, something happened. You know why? Because of this. It doesn't like that. So it's not gonna let me do it. Let me just do it. Let me do over here. Return. Okay. So that way we'll get rid of that. All right. So just for now, we'll come back to that. All right. So here we're gonna do stand model. There you go. All right, cool. So that went through. So now we can do .NET. I know it went through, so I know it's going to work. So here we're going to do .NET EF database update. So go ahead and create that. All right, cool. So that was like success. So let's go back again to here. And so I don't want to return the AppUser. I want to return. I want to create another DTO. And here in the DTO, I want to go ahead and name this one user DTO. And here, I want to, that way I can return a token. So I'm going to do a string username. Here's going to be another one, but this one is going to be for the token. All right, cool. So we have that. So we can go back over here, and it's going to be user DTO. All right. So now that we have that, we go ahead and work on the register. All right, cool. So we have that. Let's go ahead and work on this. All right. So we already created the user exists. So we got that out of the way. So here, what I want to do is I want to pass using var HMAC. And here what we want to do is we want to pass a new HMAC. And there's going to be 512. HMAC. Oh, I was missing the letter A there. All right, so now we can go ahead and implement the using security cryptography. So we have that. So after that, what we want to do is we want to create a variable which is going to be the user, and we want to pass new AppUser. So the new AppUser, and inside the new AppUser, we want the username, and the new username is going to be, we want to do register DTO with the username. This is to create a new user, to lower. So that's the very first thing. So the next thing we want to do is create a password hash. And it's going to be HMAC and it's compute hash. And here we want to make sure it's encoding. Okay, it's probably encoding. Here it's going to be encoding. It's going to be UTF. It's going to be encoding. Hold on, encoding. I don't know why it didn't. Okay, encoding UF. Let's get rid of this little highlight in red. All right, so once we pass that, the UTF, then we want to do is get bytes. And here, they can get bytes. We want to do is register DTO, and we want to pass the password. All right, the very last thing is we want to do is password sold. And this one here, we're just going to pass the HMAC, the key. And that's it for that. That's for the register. And then once we pass that, the very first thing we want to do is we're going to save it. So we want to do context. You want to save it to the users, and here you want to add to user. Oh, user with the little u user. There you go. And then you want to do is await, and then this thing you want to save it. Save async. So once you save it, then you can return new user DTO. And here you want to return the username, which is going to be user.username. And then you want to do token. You want to do token, and we got to create this one. I almost forgot. We got to create a service. So let's leave that for now like that. We're going to implement a service, which is, you're about to learn that right now. Almost finished with the register method. All right. So let's get rid of that. Okay. So let's implement the service. All right. So let's go ahead and create a folder for the interfaces, which is their interfaces. All right, so once we do that, we're going to create a class. Actually, it's going to be an interface, and this one is called iToken service. iToken service, perfect. And here it's going to be very simple. It's just going to be a string, and this one is going to be create token. And this one is AppUser. We're going to pass two parameters, which is going to be the AppUser, and it's going to be the user. Let's go ahead and import that. All right, so that's that. So then we got to create another folder for services. Go ahead and do that. So here you want to do is you want to implement the token. This one is going to be called token service, just like that. Oh, don't tell me it's not working again. Oh man, this is okay. So it's going to be token service. No. All right, it's not working. So let me go ahead and close it and reopen it again. Sometimes VS Code can be a pain in the butt. All right. So let me go ahead and close this up. All right, so we got the interfaces. So down, we're in the folder for the services. So this one's going to be called token service. All right, cool. So this one is going to derive from iToken service. It's coming from the interface. And if you hit Control dot and see how it shows implement the interface. So it will implement interface for you. All right. So here, this is going to come. So it's going to create a token. Here we want to do is we want to implement We want to implement the configuration here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do CTR. Let's go ahead and create a constructor. So we create a constructor. This one is going to come from the configuration. Yeah, like that. And this one is going to be config, short for that. And here it's going to be a little different. So you don't actually initialize the parameter. Actually, here we want to do a little bit different. So here what you want to do is implement the key. And this one you want to do, you want to make it equal to new symmetric security. And this one, security key. And this one is going to be encoding again. Encoding UTF. And this one is going to be get bytes. You got to do some imports here. Let's go ahead and fix this. So it's going to be get bytes. This one's going to be config. And it's going to be, we're going to pass the token key, which we got to go to the apps settings over here, app settings JSON to pass our secret key. All right, so we have that. So now up here, you want to do is private read only. Read only. And then we're going to pass this symmetric security like that. And you want to pass the key. All right, so we have that. Yeah, all right. So there's a few things we got to do. So before we can continue, we're going to have to go to the Nuget package. So we're going to have to do that right now. So let's go ahead and open Nuget package right here. And we're going to need two different folders here. Microsoft.ASP.NET Core. And this one's going to be authentication. Go ahead and open this up. So authentication. And it's going to be the it's going to be this one right here. But here, you got to make sure it matches your runtime again. So let's go ahead and install that. Okay, cool. No errors at all. All right. We need one more. We're gonna do. This one's gonna be system identity model. Identity model token. JWT, which is going to be this one. This one doesn't matter the version, so I'm just going to go ahead and install this one. If for any reason it gives you an error, that it will let you know over here. No, so far so good. All right, cool. So it worked. So now that I install those library. Okay, let me see what's going on with this one. Let me see why it's not working. Ah, I know why, because I'm missing the key. All right, so see now the library is installed, so now it should be working. All right, cool. So far, so good. All right, so okay, so we installed that library. So now we're working on the token service. So here, inside here, what we want to do is inside the create token, inside there, we're going to do is we're going to create a variable, which is going to be bar claim. And this one, it's going to be a new list. The new list, oh, it's going to be claims. Let's get rid of these underlined red. Let's go ahead and get rid of all these. Let's go ahead and implement that claim. All right. So here we want to do is a new claim. Inside the new claim, we want to pass the JW to register with the ED claim. Just make sure you don't misspell that. Register that claim, and it's going to be names. JW2. Hold on, I misspelled that. I think I misspelled that. Names. And this one's going to be name ID. All right, so I import that. So it's going to be name ID. And the other one's going to be user that username. All right, cool. No underlines. So, all right, cool. So far, so good. So it's very important to guys to install those libraries, because if not, it's not going to work. All right. So now this one is going to be one. We're going to create another variable, and this one here is going to be new signing credentials, and this one is going to come from the key, and it's going to be security algorithms, and this one is going to be HMAC. And we want to do is get the signature. All right. So once we can do that, then over here we're going to create another variable, which is going to be token descriptor. Token descriptor. Let's make this one capitalized. Let's make that capital. And here we want to pass new security token descriptor right here. And we want to pass 3 properties here that we want. We want to get the subject, and this one we want to do a new claim identity. And this one is going to come from claims. This one we want to do the spires. So we want this to spire. So we want to do daytime, and we want the daytime now, and we want to add days, and we want to give it 7 days. So in 7 days, that's going to be only good for 7 days. Let's go ahead and get rid of these underlines. Let's go ahead and pass claims. Why is claim underlined? Let me see. Claims identity. Why are you giving me an error here? Because it's supposed to be, hold on, I messed up over here. Subject new claims identity. Hold on 1 second. All right, so the reason why it's not running, because I created this one here. It's called claims. Took me a little bit to find out, but yep, that's it. That's gone. All right, so now that we have that, let's put a comma here. Let's put let's do sign in credentials. This one we want to pat creps, which is right here. This one. And now that we have that, let's create a variable, which is going to be token. This is going to be token handler. And here you want to do JWT security token. So that's that. And then let's create a bar token. This one here is going to be token handler. And this one is going to create token. Create token. And this one we're going to pass token decryptor. That's coming from over here. Now, once you do that, you want to return the token handler. And this one is going to write it. Write token. And you want to write token. Write token. So okay, so we created the interface, we created the service. So now we can go back to the controller. And here in the controller, we can pass the token. Of course, the first thing you want to do, you want to go ahead and inject it here. Hold on, let me forget what. Yeah, call it iToken. Token service. And then you want to do token service. And you want to initialize that. All right, so now that we have initialized this, then we can actually go over here where it says user DTO. Here you want to pass underscore token service. And this one you want to create token. And as user. Oh, gotta delete that. All right. So that's it for this one here for register. Next one we're going to do is we're going to do the HTTP post, and this one we're going to pass the, we want to do is pass the login. So we created the method. So this one's going to be, again, it's going to be async. We're going to pass the task. And this one's going to be action result. And this one we're going to pass the user DTO, just like before. And this one we're going to do login. And here we're going to pass the login DTO. Login DTO, login DTO. What we're doing is we're doing data binding here. So here what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable which is going to be user. And this one we want to do is we want to await this. And then you want to grab context. And we want to do users. And we want to do is grab the first single default. And we want to pass. What we want to do is we want to pass X, make sure it's X, and its username is equal to login DTO that username. So here what we want to do is if user it's equal to null. So like if there's no user, what you want to do is you want to return unauthorized. And here we want to do is want to pass invalid username. And here we want to do the same thing. We want to do is bar using, I'm sorry, it's going to be using bar hmac. And here we want to do is new hmac 512. And here you want to do is you want to pass the user and you want to do password. You want to pass the password sole. And once you pass the password sole, here you want to do is bar compute. We want to create a compute hash with a D hash. So this is a variable, it's called compute hash. And this one we want to do hmac. And it's going to be compute hash. And of course you want to encode it. Encoding dot, again, UTF-8. And this one you want to do is get the bytes. And you want to do is login DTO that password. Okay, so now that we have that, so then here what we want to do is integer I is equal to 0. We want to start at 0, and then this one we want to do is I compute hash. And you want to grab the link. You want to grab the link, and this one you want to do I++. And here if compute hash, the one with the D, it's not equal to user that password hash equal to I. If it's not equal, what you want to do is you want to return unauthorized. So, and then you want to pass invalid password. Okay, so that's that. So once you do that, then you want to do return new user DTO. And here, once you log in, you want to do is pass username. You want to pass the token, and then you want to pass underscore token. Token service, create token, and it's going to be user. Okay, I don't know why I'm getting an error here. This is what's going on over here. Why did I mess up? Oh my goodness, I messed up over here. Can't believe I actually did it inside another method. See here, the method is over here, ends here, and I actually end up creating it. That's why it's throwing me an error. Let me fix that real quick. Let me reformat this. All right, cool. Let's see if I get a, so, okay. Perfect. Let me see why you still have an error. Let's find out why. That, okay, cool. So that's that. All right, perfect. All right, so now we have the whole entire, we have the whole entire account controller for register, login. So now what I want to do is I want to create another controller to retrieve the users. So let's do that. All right, so let's create a new controller. This one's going to be called users controllers. tell me it's acting up again. All right, so whenever you get that problem that you try to create a new class, you might have to close up the VS Code and restart it again. All right, so, okay, so I have that. Let's do class, it's gonna be users. Ooh, I messed up. All right, new class. This one's gonna be called users controller. Perfect. Okay, cool. So this one we want to derive from base API controller. Here you want to do we want to create a constructor, and here we want to go ahead and inject the data context. So let's go ahead and implement that. Let's go ahead and implement that. And let's go ahead and initialize this. All right, cool. So that's that. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and we're going to do the HTTP get. And this one here, you want to get all the users. So here you want to do the same thing like we did before. You want to do is async. And here you want to do action result. And you want to pass here, you want to pass the INumeral because there's more than one user. And you want to pass the app user. And you want to get users. That's the name of the method. So that's the, let's go ahead and implement all these underlines. Let's go ahead and inject AppUser. Okay, cool. So that's that. So here, I'm just going to use one line to create. So you want to do is you want to do return. You want to await. And it's going to come from the context. And then we want to get the users. And here you want to do toList async. That's to get all the users. All right, so that's to get all the users. Now, if you want to get one single one, so that's when we're going to do the same thing. The only thing different on it, we want to pass here. We want to pass the ID, so we can get individual users. So we want to do, it's going to be almost the same thing. So we want to do async task action result, not context, action result. And here you want to pass AppUser, and you want to do, because you just want to get one single one, so you want to pass the ID here. And here you want to do return await. Every time you do async, you want to go ahead and await. And then it's going to come from the users class. So you want to do find async, because you want to do find async, and you want to grab one ID. That's that. All right, cool. So that was easy. That was fast for that one. All right, so cool. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and go here. We want to go ahead and implement the token, the secret. So let me show you guys how I do it. All right, so I got the app setting development because we're developing the application. So whenever you deploy the application, you want to go ahead and do it over here in the app settings JSON, because we're just doing the developing on the application. We can do it here. So here you want to do is pass token. We have pass token key. And this one I'm just going to call it super secret guessable key. That's that. Okay, that's it for that. All right, so now what I want to do is, let me go ahead and build the application. Let me see how make sure I don't have any errors. And then I'm going to implement a few things that I'm going to show you guys. So here, let's go ahead and do .NET watch run. All right, cool. So far, all right, so see, now that we have the account, we have the register, the login, the users, and the user ID. So there's one thing, because it's not going to work, because we have to let the ASP.NET Core that we have created an interface. So in order for the ASP.NET Core, in order for us to be able to access the interface anywhere in the application, we have to implement that in the startup over here. So I'm going to create a service so that way the application is more organized. So I'm going to show you guys how I do it. All right, so here, what I want to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder, and this one's going to be called extensions, just like that, a folder. And here we're going to create a class. And this one is going to be called application service extensions. Yeah, all right. So here we're going to do is we're going to make it static. So we're going to make that static. This one is where we're going to add up our services. So this one we're going to do a static, and we're going to create iService collection. And with this one, we're going to do add application services. And here we want to do is this service collection. And this one's going to be services. And we want to pass here the configuration. There you go, configuration. This one's going to come from config. Okay. So let's go ahead and implement these. All right, so we have that. Let's go ahead and bring this one to the bottom. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and implement the services here. So in order to pass the interfaces, we got to create services. And here we're going to add app scope. And here we're going to do is token service. And the other one's going to be token service, just like that. And that's that for that. All right, and then here you want to do is, let's go ahead and get rid of these red underlines. And what you want to do is you want to return the services. So now we can implement this in the startup. So over here, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and copy this one. And let's go here to the extension. Because as the application grows, it's best to start organizing your files, the folders, because it'll be easier to maintain the application. So sometimes it's best to start up to do this in the beginning. All right, so that's the. Make sure I implement this. All right, cool. So now we can go back to the startup. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And let's go ahead and implement the services. And all right, hold on. Okay, so here what we want to do is add up application services. And we want to pass the config. Okay, what I think I'm stuck over here in the spelling services. Okay, so let me go back over here. I think it's called services. Services. Okay. Let me look at it. Okay, so let's take a look because I'm looking. Oh, okay, it says here, service collection does not contain a definition of add application services, but it's not accessible to any. Okay, after looking at it and everything, I think I know what my problem is. I misspelled something. All right. So if you take a look over here, it says add application services. See how it says application service extension? And over here it says add application. I'm missing a P. So now that I have that P back in, I should be able to implement this. So if I do control dot, see, now I can actually implement that. Perfect, cool. So that's that. So now I should be, all the errors should be gone. All right, cool. So far, so good. 999s. All right, cool. All right, cool. So we're almost finished. So we should be able to test it. All right, so the Swagger will be running. Here we're going to have to implement a few things. So this one here is authorization. Here, you got to make sure this is done in order. So here, what you want to do is you want to use authentication here. All right, so that's that's perfect. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and wait for this to restart. Okay. Let me go ahead and stop the application and let's go ahead and restart it. .NET watch run. And I'm gonna go ahead and open my Postman. All right, cool. So let's test it. Let's see if it actually, let's go ahead and execute it. So let's go ahead and create this. Let's go ahead and create, let's create one word named Timmy. And the password, I'm going to use password. Let me go ahead and execute it. See if I have anything. All right, let's see if it worked. Cool, it worked. It actually gave me a token. So yeah, we have a 200, cool. So now let's test the login. Go ahead and try it out. So let's go ahead. So I use Timmy. And let's do the password. Let's go ahead and execute this. All right, cool, let me see. All right, cool, I got a 200, that means it went through, it means it's okay. So let's see if I end up putting the wrong name. Actually, let's make it with the capital T. Let's see what happens. Uh-oh, see, it says invalid user. Good, that's what we're getting from the application. That's what it was supposed to do anyway. So yeah, let's go ahead and test it with the Postman. Let me go ahead and open Postman. So we're going to do the same thing. That's what I like Swagger, because you can actually do the whole thing there. But I want to go ahead and test it with Postman. I know it was a very long long video, but that's what it takes. It takes time to make something work. But it's very straightforward. Okay, cool. So then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and call local. Okay. So, okay. Oh, I already have it here. So let's go ahead and go to the body. And let's go ahead and use this one. It says username, password. Let me go ahead and send this one. All right, let's see what we get. Let's see if we get, let's see. says not found. Oh. Pose, username, password, body. Make sure it's JSON. Let's go ahead and send this. All right. All right, after looking at the application, I figure out my issue. All right, so, okay, so here it says page not found. So my problem here was, see, the controller is called account. And inside the account, in the previous, I used to name this controller. Let me go show you guys. I used to, let me see, where's it at? Oh. I used to create a path. Here I used to call it API, but this time I did not do that. So what I did, I just went and go ahead and let me go back to Postman. So all I did is did this. So I've used controller, account, and the register, which is the method. So if I already ran it, so it worked. All right. So let me go ahead and create another name. So let's create this one. Let's call it Sam. So let's go ahead and register that. Boom, I got a 200. All right, cool. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do the login. I'm gonna take out the API. So I'm gonna go ahead and create this. So body. So that I call this Sam. All right, so let's go ahead and log in. So this is gonna be the login. It says invalid user, because it has to be Sam with a lowercase. All right, cool. So see, so I'm getting Sam, I'm getting the token. So that's what we want. We want to get the token. And yeah, so we can log in. We can get, let's see if we can get all the users. So let's go ahead and get all the users. Oh, there's a little messed up there. There's an I there. All right, so these two were the one that says Tom password null. Those were the first ones that I created just using SQLite. And then I created Timmy, then I created this one, and I created Sam. So see, it's working perfect. So you can actually use Postman to test it, or you can very easily use Swagger to do the whole implementation. All right, guys. So this is it was crazy long, but I was able to get through. All right, guys, don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to like the video. If you have any questions, make sure you can email me, leave a message. So this is the first part. The second part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement Angular so we can do the same thing that we're doing with Postman or Swagger, but we're going to be doing Angular to call this API. So make sure you guys like the video and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Show the love to the channel so that way I can continue making videos for you guys. So, and I will see you on the next one. So remember, this is part 1. So stay tuned for part 2. We're going to do it with Angular. We're going to implement the login and the register. All right. See you guys.